Hi, I'm Toro, and welcome to Toro's History Lullabies. All my life, I've needed a little background noise to fall asleep. For years, it was just the hum of a fan or some soft static. But ever since wireless earbuds came into my life, I've found myself drifting off to podcasts and documentaries, learning and relaxing at the same time. That's why I started making these videos. Calming stories from history, told gently, to help you unwind, learn something new, and hopefully fall asleep a little easier. So get comfortable, close your eyes if you'd like, and let's step quietly into the past. And if you enjoy these stories, I'd love it if you gave the video a like and subscribed for more. Sweet dreams.
The Great Emu War. Hello there, dear dreamer. I'm Toro, and I'm so very glad you've joined me tonight. Together, we'll drift gently into the velvet folds of history, where strange truths often slumber just beneath the surface. Our story tonight is curious and quiet, and a little bit feathered. It's the tale of a misjudgment wrapped in pride, and wrapped again in feathers. So, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and allow your thoughts to soften. Let your thoughts settle like dust on an old journal. Let your heart beat slow like the rhythm of footsteps on soft soil. Let's wander together into a world where soldiers face their most elusive foe, not an empire, but a bird. This is the story of the Great Emu War. To understand the curious clash of man and emu, we must first find ourselves beneath the honey-gold skies of Western Australia, sometime around 1932. The world is still weary from the tremors of the Great War. Across continents, economies struggle to breathe. Australia is no exception. The Great Depression has taken hold, and with it comes hunger, uncertainty, and the scraping ache of survival. In this time of hardship, the government of Australia offers a promise: land to returned soldiers, a chance to farm, to build, to plant a life anew in the red soils of the West. Thousands accept. They become wheat farmers, sowers of grain in a country that knows both flood and flame. They till the land with hands once used for rifles. They sow the wheat in long rows that ripple in the dry wind. They build lives from dust and dream. But the soil is not kind. It is thin, dry, and stubborn. The rains are fickle. The markets crash. Prices for wheat fall. The farmer soldiers, already burdened, find themselves in battle again, this time with nature, economy, and their own fading hopes. And then, as if conjured by the land's weariness, came a sound in the distance, a rustle, a beat, a rhythm of thousands of feet. The emus were coming. Emus, for those who may never have met one, are tall, majestic, and oddly elegant creatures. Flightless birds, yes, but with legs made for running and hearts tuned to the rhythms of open plains. They stand taller than a man's chest, with long necks and eyes that glint with cautious curiosity. Every year, they migrate from the inland deserts toward the coast. Their path, ancient and instinctive, now intersected the wheat fields. What followed was not an attack, but an arrival. Tens of thousands of emus sweeping through the farmland. They trampled the fragile fences. They feasted on the wheat. They left trails of ruin in their wake. To the farmers, these birds were not majestic. They were an invading force. And so, the soldiers who had traded war for wheat found themselves pleading once more to their government. Send help, they cried. Send guns. Send soldiers. Send something. The government, listening from afar, answered with a plan. A plan so strange that it would one day be told in whispers beneath starlit skies, and remembered not as a triumph, but as a peculiar parable of pride. The blunder November, 1932. The sun hangs low over the plains. The wind carries the scent of wheat, dust, and wild feathers. The skies are vast and open, as if watching with quiet amusement. Into this warm tension arrives Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery. He is not alone. With him come two soldiers. They bring with them 2 Lewis machine guns, mounted on tripods, and over 10,000 rounds of ammunition. They are prepared not for a metaphorical battle, but for a literal one. Their target, the emus. Yes, birds. Flightless, fast, frustrating birds. The farmers greet them not with cheers, but with hope. Not because they believe the war will be easy, but because they believe something, anything, must be done. And so begins one of the most peculiar military operations in modern history. The soldiers prepare. They observe the patterns of the birds. They plan ambushes, scouting along fences and across parched fields. They ready their weapons. The first engagement is swift. A flock of over 100 emus is spotted moving through the fields near Campion. The soldiers set up. They wait. They hold their breath. The birds approach. And when the time feels right, they open fire. The sound is sharp, a burst of sudden thunder. But the result is chaos. The emus do not panic. They scatter. With long, powerful legs and quick minds, they break into smaller groups and dart in different directions. Some sprint in zigzags. Others vanish behind trees or into tall grass. The bullets, fast as they are, cannot keep up. And then the guns jam. By the time they're operational again, the birds are gone. Vanished. The soldiers regroup. A single confirmed kill. Dozens of rounds spent. Undeterred, they try again. And again. Each time, the emus move faster than expected. More erratically. More intelligently. The men soon learn that these are not slow-moving targets. They're swift. They're coordinated in strange, unspoken ways. At times, they seem to move almost strategically, splitting into squadrons, using the landscape for cover, making themselves smaller than they are. It isn't long before Major Meredith starts to see the birds differently, not as foolish prey, but as something worthy of admiration. Later, he would write, "If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world." In one attempt, the soldiers mount a machine gun onto the back of a truck. They think, maybe if they move, they can chase the birds down, outmaneuver them. But the land is bumpy, uneven, dry and cracked. The truck jolts and bounces. The gunner can't aim. The vehicle shakes so violently that the shots go wild. The emus, watching from a distance, simply outrun them. They are not afraid. They just move. After several days, hundreds of rounds have been fired. And the confirmed kills? Perhaps a few dozen. 100 at most. And the birds? Tens of thousands still roam. Pecking, walking, running, breathing. The newspapers begin to take notice. The headlines range from amused to mocking. Emus elude military machine. Soldiers routed by birds. Australia declares war on emus. Emus winning. What began as a practical mission is becoming a national embarrassment. The soldiers, tired and dust-covered, continue to try. One account tells of an emu shot 5 times that simply kept running, into the brush, never to be seen again. Another notes that the birds travel in pairs, with one acting as lookout, alerting the rest when soldiers draw near. Are these exaggerations? Perhaps. But in the haze of frustration, the myths grow. By early December, the operation has lost support. The military quietly ends the campaign. Roughly 1,000 emus have been killed. Over 9,000 bullets fired. That's nearly 10 rounds for every bird. The mission is considered a failure. And so the soldiers return to their barracks. The farmers return to their fields. And the emus? They simply continue. They migrate, as they always have, oblivious to the war waged in their name. The Great Emu War is over. The war ends, not with treaties, nor with parades, but with silence. No surrender. No victory. Just a slow, awkward fade into the background of history. The emus return to their natural rhythm, migrating as they always have, neither celebrating nor mourning, just moving, guided by instinct older than nations. The humans, however, are left with more than footprints in the dirt. They are left with fences broken, fields torn, and pride gently bruised. For the farmers, frustration lingers. Their crops are still vulnerable, their harvest still uncertain. They had pinned their hopes on help from above, and help had come, yes, but in the form of jammed guns, misfiring trucks, and laughing headlines. The government, sheepish but not uncaring, changes course. They do not send more soldiers. They do not declare another war. Instead, they offer practical support, bounties for culled birds, investments in better fencing, studies into more sustainable coexistence. And slowly, things improve. The emu numbers are managed. Not eradicated, never conquered, but reduced to something the farmers can live with. For now, and as years roll forward like quiet winds over wheat, the story of the Emu War becomes something else entirely. Not policy, not conflict, but parable. People begin to tell it with a smile. Not mocking, no, but amazed. A war with birds? A real military campaign, machine guns and all, against a wild and wandering flock? It sounds like folklore. Like something invented at a campfire or whispered as a bedtime tale. And yet it happened. In the archives of history, among revolutions and monarchs and treaties, there rests this quiet, curious moment where nature ran faster than bullets and instinct outmaneuvered industry. International newspapers had their fun. Jokes were made. Emus became punchlines. But beneath the feathers and footnotes lay something more delicate, more tender. The Emu War was not truly about birds. It was about the clash between will and reality, between control and chaos, between what we expect and what simply is. It revealed the limits of force, the patience of nature, and the deep, almost comical truth that not all battles are ours to win. Even now, decades later, the fields of Western Australia stretch wide and quiet. Emus still wander them. Farmers still plant wheat. And the land, as always, holds the memory gently. And so now, as night deepens around you, we breathe together in the hush that follows the story, not to dwell on failure, but to reflect, gently, on what it means to try and to stumble. The Great Emu War was not tragic. No great harm came to human life. There were no solemn memorials, no medals awarded. It lives instead in soft corners of the past, as a reminder that strength does not guarantee success, that cleverness is not confined to human minds, and that sometimes what we face with weapons can only be answered with understanding. We often imagine that problems can be solved by sheer effort, by escalation, by force. But the emus did not resist. They simply didn't stop. They kept running, kept dodging, kept moving through the world on their own strange rhythm. And that was enough. In this, there's something gently profound. Because life, like emus, does not always follow our plans. It zigzags. It outpaces us. It refuses to be fenced in. And when we meet something unexpected, a change, a loss, a challenge, we might feel tempted to declare war, to act boldly, to take aim. But sometimes, softness serves us better. So does patience and curiosity. The emus were not villains. They were not rebelling or invading. They were simply being emus. And the soldiers, they were not foolish. They were doing their best in a situation nobody truly understood. The real mistake was not trying. It was assuming the world would bend just because we asked it to. So, as you drift now toward dreams, let the story settle in your chest like a warm blanket. A story not of war, but of wisdom whispered too late. Let it be a lullaby for humility, for humor, for the gentle art of letting go. After all, the world is wide, and sometimes the birds win. Thank you for wandering with me, dear listener, through the winding paths of one of history's quieter blunders. If this tale brought you a smile, or slowed your breath, or softened the edges of your day, I'd be honored if you'd leave a gentle like, or follow this little channel of dreams and history. Each week, we'll unfold another story from the long, curious scroll of human missteps. Some are strange, some are sweet, and all of them, in their own way, are beautifully human. Next time, we might drift aboard a ship steered by overconfidence, or tiptoe through the halls of a plan undone by pride. But for now, the story is done. The birds have run. The guns are quiet, and the stars above Australia blink, as they always have, over empty fields and ancient footsteps. So rest now, breathe deeply, let the wind carry you away, and know that even our missteps make for the gentlest lullabies. Good night, from me, Toro.